We have on here minutes for May meeting and minutes for the August meeting. Quite honestly, I don't remember much of the May meeting, so I can't comment. Is there any revisions or anything to the May meeting? If not, we'd call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we accept the minutes as they stand. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have the minutes from the August meeting as well.
Chairman, may I interrupt for just a moment?
Sure.
I apologize. Your video feed is not on. If we could get that turned on, please.
Our video feed.
Correct.
IT, can you turn on the video feed?
Oh, that worked.
Thank you. Sorry to
Thank you.
interrupt.
The minutes from the August 21st meeting, has everybody had a chance to review those? Are there any revisions or corrections? If not, call for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Motion's been moved and seconded that we approve the minutes for the August 21st, 2023 meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carried. Were you contacted by anybody from the public that would want to address us?
No, sir.
So nothing from the public for comments. We'll move on to old business, the Dross site project update.
Good afternoon, commissioners. We're pushing to, or what we're trying to do is at least give you guys a little bit more input because we're kind of hitting critical milestones in the Dross project. So we reached out to Pedge, who is kind of the overall project manager for the Dross project. He's been with the city since day one, since the discovery of the Dross, the litigation, and with the actual engineering and construction phase. So Pedge will be giving a presentation on the Dross.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can everyone hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Do we have the presentation, please?
Pedge, did you want me to open that up?
Yes, please.
Okay.
And since August, our last meeting that I attended, lots of stuff happened. This week we will finish the asphalt of the first phase of the project, which is the eastern portion of the Dross site. I took this photo, let's see, I took this photo about midday on Friday, last Friday. So you guys can see the finished product. They're basically laying down the second layer of asphalt, two 2-inch lifts. This is the second lift, and they're almost done with 1/3 of the second lift when I took this photo. It's anticipated that we're going to finish the phase one before Thanksgiving. Next slide, please. So as you know about so far about the project, this is a design build project, and several items about it that are, I don't know whether I talked about it before or not, but couple of the entities have been with this project for a long time. Me, of course, I've been the project manager since 2013, actually 2012 when the litigation started, and all the investigations. We have been using the airport's engineer, CNS engineers, particular Lance McIntosh as our design engineer, so there is continuity there. And we're also using, as one of our major subcontractors, Sunland Asphalt, who's been doing work at the airport previously. This project involves excavation and disposal of approximately 44,000 cubic yards of hazardous waste, which is aluminum production waste that was left on site after smelting of some 5,700 aircrafts. Equivalent to about 75,000 tons of material. The transport of this material is to Oklahoma via rail. That was one of the items that the council, city council wished for us to pursue, which was to use rail instead of trucking, just to make sure that this material gets out of the city safe and doesn't impact traffic or noise or any other issues that hauling with trucks would have. And as part of this project, we're also using the soil, portion of the soil for backfill from another city project. It's the Airway Avenue Drainage Improvement project that we're using the soil from that project to use as backfill. Following backfill, we would have site restoration, which is basically covering the rest of the area with asphalt. And finally, final reporting to the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality to obtain no further action determination, which is basically the site closure. That's the project overview in a nutshell. What you see here is a cross-section of one of the cells for the aluminum dross. This particular cell is, from the surface to the bottom is approximately 12 feet. The bottom of that trench is 12 feet. And it's, if you come from that cross-section toward the photograph, toward the camera, that cell was actually thicker, and the bottom of the cell was about 18 feet. And as you go more and more west, the lens thins out, which indicates that this used to be a trench, that dross was pushed in from the west toward the east and filled up with dross. And you can see the edges of it as the lens thins out toward the top of the pavement. Most of what we have seen is like this. They're trenches that about anywhere from 100 to 200 feet long, and they all have this kind of a cross section. Just some of them are shallower, some of them are deeper. Next slide, please. The transload happens on a KGTR, I apologize, property that they have a transload, and all of our gondolas are staged there, and the transload occurs through end dumps trucks in a manner that you'll see. Each of the gondolas are lined with a liner that after filling up, we can lock it up and zip it up so that it prevents any dust to come out of the gondolas as it goes toward the goes to the landfill. Approximately 5 truckloads fills up one gondola, and anywhere from 5 to 7 gondolas would leave in a single trip per day. Sometimes I heard that we have as many as 8 gondolas filled up. Next slide, please. So project status as of last week, 55% of the waste has been excavated. And of that, 40% has been transported already. It has either reached the landfill or it's en route. And the rest of it is on site, waiting, loading onto trucks and trains. So far, 1,455 end dump truck loads have been left the site toward the transload areas, and 291 rail cars have left the site to the landfill. We're on track to complete the project by October 24th. Phase one, the phases, you can see how the phases are broken up. We are moving from one phase to the other based on logistics. So, for example, we haven't really started phase 4, but we decided at this time is a good idea to move to phase 5, finish it up. Our initial thought was that we would finish it up for so that asphalt trucks would be coming on site and would facilitate their movement, but it didn't work out that way. They actually found other routes to get to phase 1 and do the asphalt. But nevertheless, phase 5 is almost done. Phase 1 is almost done, is completely done, and phase 2 is partially done. So what you see before you is basically how this project has progressed. Next week, we're going to finish the rest of phase 1, which is just cell E7. It's a light color cell. And then we move back to phase 2 to finish up some of those cells to the south, particularly I3, I2, I8. We want to finish those. We want to finish K4 and then move into some of the deeper cells, which are close to the Cassie hangar. H3 and F3 particularly are very, very deep, and we will be doing those during the weekend to make sure that we're not impacting the operations of Cassie. And then I think that's about it, Doug. I don't have any other. Yep, that's it. That's the project update.
And Pez, just go ahead and let some people know, because we do get this question when it comes to the actual transport of the dross. They bag the dross before they put it into the dump trucks. And then from there, when it's offloaded into the trains, it's also bagged again through a burrito bag. So it's really double bagged before it starts being transported to Oklahoma.
Thank you, Doug. Yes, it's all the waste is bagged at the dross site before it goes to the transload. This is just to make sure we are not causing a whole lot of mess, not only on the roads, but also at the transload. We want to make sure everything is remaining in tune to the extent possible. We did remove, if you briefly can go to slide number 4. Anecdotally, we knew portions of some of the furnaces are still there, but we didn't know to the extent that they were left on site. The main chambers of all 3 furnaces, we found them over there, and these chambers had the same dimensions, about 30 feet by 30 feet, 27 feet by 27 feet, and about 8 feet deep. The outside geometry of the southern furnace was a little different, but all the chambers were actually the burning occurred, the smelting occurred. They were all the same size. We found them approximately where they're depicted on this map, and we also were able to save some bricks from the furnace at K5, and we were able to recover some of them. Unfortunately, the bricks on the middle furnace and the northern furnace, they were too fragile, and they would just break up as we would take them off. But we were able to save up some of the bricks in K5. They're actually really nice ones. Doug, I don't know if you have any more information about the bricks.
We have the bricks. We have it in one of our bays, but we have to put a clear coat over them before we're allowed to, other individuals to hold them. Just to double check, make sure they have been cleaned, they have been washed, but we just want to clear coat them just as an extra safety precaution. And besides the bricks, it's kind of turned into a show and tell moment.
Sorry, I missed that. Was that a question for me?
No. I was showing two items that you guys have managed to bring up from the draw site. One was when they were originally removing the asphalt, they found this chunk of aluminum with contaminants mixed in. What I mean by contaminants, wires, pieces of metal. And then when they were digging in one of the excavation holes, they found this right here, which when we went around, we asked some flight mechanics, and they believe that is a large aircraft landing gear pivot pin.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's a landing gear component. Yeah.
So at this present time, besides the bricks, those are the two large major items I was able to bring in here. We found some two much larger items, or I want to say Pedge's crew found two much larger items. We're unable to determine what they are. They have volunteered to clean them up and decontaminate them. Then once they decontaminate them, then we could probably take a look a little bit deeper and see if we see any type of wording or coding on the side to help us determine what they are. But they're either possibly the bodies, side body panels of aircraft, or maybe the furnace doors where they just took them and dropped them and buried them with the dross.
What are your intentions to do with these priceless finds?
At this present time, they're going to be inside of the airport administration building in our area at this present time.
Okay,
Could
but once
change
they're
in the
cleaned
future.
up, is there a possibility they can be donated to the people that are working on putting together a museum?
I don't know if we could absolutely donate it without coming across some type of public ruling, but we can possibly put it on loan with
Sure.
no financial
Yeah.
and allow them to display it inside the museum.
Great, thank you.
I have a question, Commissioner or Doug, Manager. So it says finished completion October 2024. I know that's everybody's out, gone, done 100%. Is it going to be usable before then? Like aircraft can be moved on the surface before October they're anticipating or not? Can anybody?
Pedge, this is your go explaining all the ADQ paperwork afterwards.
It should be site rest. So for my stuff, for what I want to do with ADQ, I should have all the information that I need between February and March, which means that excavation is already done, and my samples have been collected and analyzed by the laboratory, which means I can proceed with writing the report. It takes quite a while after the project is finished for all the loading to happen, loading of the waste, perhaps a couple months of loading of the material after the project is finished, maybe 3 months. So that would put us in March, April, May, June. And then there's going to be asphalt after everything is done. The last phase, so the asphalt is done in 3 phases. And the last phase of it perhaps will be done when all the waste has been transported out. And then there is 1 month or so of final project closures and documentation. So the site would be ready sooner for moving of aircrafts and using, but we have some work that needs to be finished afterward. I don't know if I answered your question, Paul, but
Yeah.
I think that the two-thirds of the site would be ready to go long before August.
But does that mean one could legally use it? I know you said you have paperwork to do and other things. Does that mean a large area could be then usable at that point or not really?
Yes, it has nothing to do with the reporting that I need to do to ADQ.
Okay. But obviously, it's hard to say because you're not there yet. I must say, it's been very impressive to watch the whole project, and it's disruptive to the businesses, including mine, but we don't mind at all because it's getting done, and it's just been, if you blink or turn away for half a day, and something really changes, a very large hole or a big pile of something has happened, and it's just interesting to watch. It's way out of our normal purview what we get to see, and it's been an interesting process the whole time.
And Commissioner Gaines, phase one for the paving is wrapping up. Maybe this week, maybe in the early next week. We just want to make sure we have everything done correctly before we officially claim it's done for that paving.
Right.
And we have been having discussions, maybe in late February, we will start with paving phase two, and that's going to be that very center portion. And then you're probably looking at much later into the summer for phase three to start working on that paving.
Gotcha.
I might have missed it, but how thick is the asphalt in the taxiway?
This right here for originally what we were getting was only 2 inches of asphalt, because the way that the discussion was that the asphalt in the area was only 2 inches thick, which is not good enough for large aircraft and multiple use. Fortunately, Pedge and them and the attorneys have managed to convince the DOJ to go down to the full 4 inches.
Thank you.
But there's a large chunk, like how many inches, 10 or 14 or something of base underneath that of compacted, a lot of compaction going on out there, water and rolling equipment. It's been, like I said, it's been fun to watch. So,
It has.
you know, every day, all day, some Saturdays, some weekends are out there doing it, so.
Yeah, so the original base was in the early days, in early 2000, when the construction started, the idea was that the contractor at the time was supposed to use aggregate base course, like we are. They ran out of money, and at some point they swapped aggregate base course with conditioned soil. So they mixed up some fly ash with lime and soil, and they applied that as the base, and then they put that 1.5 inches to 2 inches of asphalt that Doug was talking about. We're ripping all that out. All of that material is now being pushed in the bottom of the excavations, and we fill the rest of it with backfill. And then the last 10 inches of material is actually, the airport engineer calls it P209, which is an FAA rated backfill. That's rated for backfilling like tarmac areas. So 10 inches of that compacted to 100%, and then 4 inches of asphalt on top of it.
To be clear, the area of phase one can be used sooner than March, I'm hoping, for aircraft storage. Am I understanding that correctly?
Here, I'll speak on this cherry smoker. Yes, area one or phase one, we're hoping to have that possibly available for aircraft movement and parking within a week or two.
Good.
Wow.
That's what I wanted to hear. Thank you.
But there is some testing that they have to do to make sure. We don't want to open up something and it turns out there's a underlying problem that they're going to come back and address. So we're just waiting on those final tests to come back.
It's a great place to roller skate right now. It looks it's that smooth and vast. It's like, wow, this is so flat and perfect right now.
It sounds like a lot of questions already been asked, but I just kind of wanted to know what the next steps are, if there's any.
Pej, did you want to answer that, or did you want me to?
Go ahead. If there is anything specific about the regulatory closure, I can talk about that.
For the actual construction, when Pej was discussing that, they're still excavating. They have not moved exactly in front of Kazi's hangars yet at this time, because they're not done with phase two first. So once they actually get through with the pavement of phase one, then we'll start working towards getting back heavily into phase two, taking all that dross out, refilling phase two, and then moving over to phase 3 and start working on those sections. So it's just, you know what, let me bring this PowerPoint back.
It looks
up.
like to me, being out there, just that all of these phases are in some level of being worked on, like one's being finished up right now, there's others are deep holes and,
Yeah.
you know, all at the same time.
Yeah, I understood all of that. I was just curious if there was anything that hadn't been asked that might be interesting for us to know about in regards to like the next steps in this.
Nothing really. It's the phasing is really moving forward. There has been some adjustments because instead of waiting on complete excavation of phase 2 and phase 3, they went ahead and they started working on phase 5 to get that out of the way.
That
so-
one gray, when you just pointed at, that's in front of my hangar, I believe, is that correct? That one you're
Yes,
pointing
sir.
at?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. So they're moving forward with phase 5. At the same time, they're still working on phase 2, and they're going to be moving over to phase 3.
So they're making good progress.
They're making good progress. By the time they get phase 2, phase 3, and sections of phase 4, then that's going to be the additional paving of phase 2, which is going to be kind of a split between phase 4, phase 2, and phase 3.
I know usually big projects like this oftentimes hit snafus and get delayed, but it's nice to see that this thing's moving pretty well.
This
That's a
one,
good, has there been any major, or not, it's some kind of like, oh, wow, that's like a snafu or something quite in that category that was,
I would not say snafu. A while back, we went back to council to make them aware of a change order where the original company went back and for the underlying base underneath the asphalt, they ran out of the aggregate base engineer material, so they just went ahead and they dumped a bunch of fly ash. They dumped a bunch of lime in there, ground hardening material, and they basically created a layer of concrete over a foot thick. That material right there, we had to spend a little bit of extra money. Don't quote me on the cost right now because I can't really remember. But they went back and they started dropping that into the excavation holes and started breaking it up to 12 inches and under. And then that was kind of the first layer of the base that has to go down before they put in backfill. Then they put in the AB base, and then they put the asphalt over the top.
Is this something we have to pay for, or is that all DOJ's money?
That's all of the DOJ funding. That we did put contingency because with the size of these projects, you're always going to find something. It's going to be inevitable. Some of the beautiful things in is that Pedge mentioned it, but I'm pretty sure he didn't. We didn't go into too much detail on it. Was the AADI? What that is there's a retention pond that was identified in the city's master drainage study. That retention pond was put between Airway and East Diamond Joe near the school. We needed backfill, and the city needed that retention pond built. So we are excavating that dirt from that retention pond, and it is being brought to the airport property. Now, that part of the project is being funded out of the Dross project. But while Haley and Aldridge is here and they have the equipment and the men and material, we went ahead and we went back to council, got a separate contract that's going to be coming, well, kind of tied into this contract as an addendum or an attachment. But that is being paid out of the general funds, and that's going to be actually finished scoping and building the retention pond to assist with the drainage in that neighborhood and along the school.
It's nice to see how much of these projects are starting to intertangle with each other.
Just one thing, we're just trying to get out there to the public in between the retention pond. We had to clear out and level a road going to the airport because all the trucks are driving through the desert going to the airport construction site. That reduces wear and tear on our roads in the neighborhoods and also saves us a little bit of additional cash, but they had to go out there smoothing out some roads in the desert. And what we do is request individuals that be aware, even though that road looks very nice for you to take your truck going through the desert, 70, 85 miles per hour, that is a construction road. We do have signs out there. We are trying to make people aware, but it's just a convenient spot, especially around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. All the mothers and fathers at the industrial park could take that road and be right there at the schools in little to no time, completely bypassing Route 66.
it's like a great pace for a road already.
Yes, yeah.
So at the completion of this project, will that road be blocked or will it be there for the industrial park employees to use.
I thought that road already existed. They just made it better for those trucks to drive down, didn't they?
It somewhat existed, if you want to call that. I mean, there was still some problems in that area where there were some washouts. A lot of the vehicles you've seen that went through there were four-wheel drive capable. But now it's really flat and smooth, except for a few minor bumps. But no, Commissioner Beller, after this project, the Rancho Santa Fe is going to be a little bit further east of this road. This road is targeted in the future, but not in the very near future for being constructed.
People are going to use it.
Um,
I can tell you right now.
Yeah, I was kind of curious about that question too. He's like, is it going to be blocked? And I'm like, that's a good question. Are they going to block it?
It's
No comment
probably
from
getting very well compacted too. I was out there watching for a while, and they've got a roller compacting it, and you can feel the vibration when it's 30 yards away. It's doing a really good job of compacting that top base. So I was quite honestly very impressed. Is there any other discussion on the draw side project for under old business? Any other questions? I don't see if there's any motion needed. Oh, we have a Commissioner Gerlach, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Good.
I was 5 minutes late. Sorry.
Oh, good. You've been there for a while then. Good.
Yes, sir.
Did you have any questions?
No, not on this.
Okay. Let's move on to new business. The draw site tour. When I was out there last week with Manager Breckenridge, I got a tour of the area, and I thought it was very informative, and so we put this on the agenda that commissioners could do a tour. And so we'll open that for discussion. Would any of you like a tour of the draw site?
Chair Amos Booker?
Yes.
May I just make a statement? Yeah, Chair Amos Booker brought this up, and I thought this was a good idea. It's one thing to actually see pictures. It's another one actually being out there and seeing the full scope of the project, especially right now when you have the asphalt being laid down. You have some of the excavation pits being filled. You have some additional excavation going on where they're removing the dross, they're doing the sampling, and they're offloading into the rail cart. So right now is probably around the best time for the commission to actually go out there, and we'll either link you up with Pedge or one of the assistant engineers and project managers, and they'll be able to go into pretty high detail with you what's going on in the draw site.
Yeah, you can see every phase of it right now.
And it's a big area, and again, it's impressive, and it's very informative. I went out there, as you know, I wasn't with Pedge, it was, can't remember who it was with.
Mr. Roy Colwright.
Yeah, that's right. So learned an awful lot, more than I ever thought I would ever learn about that kind of stuff.
I'm in favor of taking a tour.
Make a motion to set a date and time to take a tour of the draw site.
We may actually have to reach back and reach out to you guys for that. We're probably gonna be looking at very much right after Thanksgiving, well, this week. But if you guys wishes just put this as a motion that you want a tour, we'll be reaching out to you to actually set up dates for the tour.
Put out a motion to schedule a tour.
I'll second it.
We have a motion, and it's been seconded to arrange for a tour for the commissioners. Is there any discussion? Is there a motion, or let's bring this motion to a vote. We don't call for the question, I guess. All in favor of arranging a time for the commission to tour the site, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
Hello, everyone. Can I just like to say that I would like to be part of that tour when it's scheduled?
Yes,
Sure.
sir. Councilmember Savage, we'll definitely extend out the invite to you.
And
Okay, I appreciate it. Thank you.
moving on to reports.
Okay, for the airport reports, at this present time, we had one of our operations and maintenance staff members resign. They were on the afternoon shift into evening. So we went through interviews last week. HR extended out an offer, and we're just waiting to hear back if that individual has accepted the offer. At the same time, we have just opened up a new position for kind of a leasing coordinator. That person's going to be assisting, or primary focus is getting all the leases basically on level with each other, same rules, same regulations, same requirements, and also developing new standardized leases, keeping track of based aircraft, stored aircraft, and at the same time really being a representative or a liaison to pilots and companies that need to get a hold of somebody in a hurry. So that person's going to be really keeping them very hand in hand with the tenants, both not only in the airport side, but also inside the industrial park, making sure those tenants are in compliance with their leases, maintaining their buildings, because a lot of these buildings that are out there, both ground leased and non-ground leased, at the end of the day, the buildings come back to the airport, or revert back to the airport, and we want to make sure that we get a good product coming back instead of getting a hangar that's going to, where we'll have to spend a lot of money to get retrofitted and upgraded or maintained to be usable in the future. So that will be that primary person's goal, and then also notifying the airport and industrial park of any activities that they need to be aware of, and including working on special events and updating the website and keeping the Facebook page updated. For the Taxiway Bravo project, we actually just had a meeting with ADOT this morning regarding that project. We once again just went ahead and told them what has been going on, stating not mixing the two projects. And what happened with the Dross project was they actually cut into a section of Bravo. So if we took the ADOT grant, moved Bravo first, we'll be already cutting into freshly laid asphalt on the Bravo. So that they realize that, they understand that, and they do appreciate that. But our engineers are getting bid documents prepped. So hopefully here in the very near future, within a couple of months, we'll put out those bid documents to go out there for bid for the Bravo project. And then the construction will be hopefully following not too far behind the completion of the Dross project.
Go ahead.
Is the area that was cut into Taxiway Bravo, or is that going to be paved by the contractor?
It's going to be paved by this project, the actual Dross project.
Okay.
But keep in mind, when you start looking at the overall Taxiway Bravo, you want a crown over it. So they are probably going to go back and do some type of reshaping to make sure that they have that crown on top of the taxiway that meets FAA regulations.
Okay.
Just I'm curious, when the bids go out, obviously they can't start until the Dross is done, so and they have to do planning if they're going to be doing construction. Just is kind of wondering how that worked, because you can't give necessarily a start date yet until the Dross is done and that's known. Is that correct?
The design's already done. It's 100% completion.
Okay.
We're just waiting because fortunately CNS is also the engineers over the Dross project, are also the engineers over the Bravo project.
Okay.
So they're keeping an eye on both to see when they can start moving forward. As soon as one starts wrapping up, they're doing their estimates on time to get the other one moving.
Makes it a lot easier, yeah. All right.
Do you know is it in phase 5 or phase 4 where they went into Taxiway Bravo?
It was actually into phase 1.
in phase one?
Yeah.
Oh. So-
Yes, that was,
So
they
they've
actually
already
went in.
repaved it.
It's already been paved, but they had to cut into that for the slope because one of the cells that they had to dig down was right there at the edge of Bravo. So
Yeah.
they actually had to cut into a slight slope going into it.
Was it in, on the map, you've got 1, 2, and 3? Was that the area?
It's gonna be in phase one. Sorry, I do not have that up in front of me. It was around, 03, 02, and 01
Yeah,
was where they had to cut in, they had to slope.
okay, thank you.
Sorry, let me get my share screen back up. Dross, you just saw that update on the Dross project. And once again, I have the two major items that they have discovered up here. We did decontaminate them, so you can touch them. If not, if you see me get sick first, then you know. I'm joking. Terminal renovations, we are working on something new that we may be coming back to the commission here in the near future to give you guys some ideas of what we plan to do on the backside of the terminal. We're kind of just playing around with some designs at this time, and we want to give you a little bit multiple options.
I have a question about that regarding the, I know we keep talking about landscaping, and I'm not really into necessarily fancy landscaping, but when is that going to be just all kind of cleaned up and fixed up? Is that part of what you're talking about?
That is the section.
Okay.
When I bring it in front of you, please don't laugh at me because I am doing this using, how could I say, Microsoft Publisher. Just to kind of give an idea, a visual idea
Okay.
of the different options that we're kind of coming up with. Economic development's very much helping out with that. And they had some great ideas to kind of keep kind of World War II theme.
Will that part be this current fiscal year, do you think, when they be fixing all that?
Our whole goal is to get it this fiscal year.
Okay, all right.
Runway 17 and 35 and taxiway Charlie 608 application. They have applied the 608 application, new markings to both those surfaces. Unfortunately, one of their truck drivers hit one of our gates, and the gate is out of service. So I have been notified back when that occurred. It will take around 6 months to get that gate in. I did a follow-up phone call with the project managers, and they do very much recognize now the need to get this done as soon as possible. So they are putting heat on the contractor that did the damage to replace that gate as soon as possible.
What gate number is that?
It was the BLM gate.
Oh, okay, way on the other end, okay, from us.
Why is it taking 6 months? Is it just supply issues or?
They said it was actual supply and building construction of the gate.
So are they rebuilding the whole thing?
They're rebuilding the gate. The only thing they're lacking will be the actual motor mounts and the pads.
Okay.
And that's over by, that's over as you're getting towards 3.5's threshold, right?
That's going to be all the
Yep.
way on the north end, in between Hangar A and the Bureau of Land Management lease
Right.
property. Drainage study. This is very much tied into the Rancho Santa Fe, and then also with the Industrial Park Master Development Plan, because both those plans will impact the flow of the water that's coming onto the airfield. Once again, CNS is the actual kind of the lead engineer of the Industrial Park Management Plan. It's a separate division of CNS, but they are speaking to the airport division as they get that information from water flow going across where the future industrial park is going to expand. They're getting that information over to our airside engineers, who are taking that to further help and assist them with develop the master drainage study for the airfield. Taxiway Delta rehab and design. A few months back, they did a coring samples of taxiway Delta, which comes back with the geotech data. That geotech data is used to help and assist with determine the weight loads that the taxiway will be able to handle. And we are currently in discussions of hosting 30% design review meetings, and that will be held in between the engineers, the airport, the FAA, and ADOT.
Just out of curiosity, how long does that take to go from start to when they're done? Like, what happens with that?
With the overall construction of the taxiway?
Yeah, like, what's your goal with the core drill? Is to determine how much needs to be done to the taxiway?
No, the core drilling actually assesses the thickness, the condition of the underlying concrete subbase. If the subbase doesn't look good, then that means that when they actually get to the construction phase, they may have to dig down deeper. If the subbase is still good, then that means that they may just have to do a milling of the top asphalt to repave over it. Sections of that taxiway underneath is original World War II concrete. Other sections is just asphalt. So it gives them an idea of what's actually underneath and what the state of that surface is.
How long does it take to, if it was in like the most optimistic time frame, what would that be?
For complete construction?
Yeah.
I really cannot give that. I'll be honest with you. Whatever I tell you now is going to end up being a lie.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I was just trying to like understand like how long the process takes for something that like in the most optimistic time frame, but I can understand not wanting to give out information. I was curious like what the process was for it.
I mean, they've been working on the design phase for a while. They just now got the geotechnical data. Hopefully, in a few more months, when I mean about a few more, maybe about 5 months, that they'll have the design almost at 90%. And then from there, we'll start looking at the construction phase. We're probably gonna have to end up phasing the construction phase. That is what we are waiting to hear back from the FAA and ADOT, if they're able to give us all the money for the entire taxiway up front in one lump sum, or if we're gonna have to do a phasing very similar to Taxiway Bravo. So that's why I don't want to, throw dates out at this present time, because it could change to where we'll have to wait and receive multiple grants over 2 years.
That's helpful. That's pretty much what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Doug, I have a question. So this core drilling stuff you're talking about, this sounds like it's more than what they would normally do. Like if we have a resurface, they would come in and do a simpler contract. This is a little bit deeper research, shall we say, or deeper information they're trying to get for this taxiway at this point?
No, any type of taxiway rehab, you will have to do a core drill.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they go down several feet.
Okay.
If you don't go down all the way, you could miss something, either a pocket of water or void created due to water just moving underneath the ground. So they go substantially deep to figure it out.
So this is a normal thing that they do anyway? Okay.
Yes, sir. For the Taxiway Bravo project, they did the exact same thing. They just did it in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
And due to the fact the area is technically not an open taxiway, there's no NOTAMs issued because it's actually just a closed surface.
Right, okay.
Hangar doors, we've had a few tenants in the C and B row hangars where their doors have been having issues where they're not opening or closing or stopping. Staff did some pretty extensive work on their end to actually see if they could resolve the issue after a while. Turns out it was a type of wiring that was faulty. So they have ordered new wires. We're waiting to get those new wires in, plug those into those hangars that are now functioning, and get them running again here in the very near future. We don't have a date at this time for electricians of when the wire will be delivered. EAA pedestrian gate is installed and operational. North drainage ditch repair. This is a new item. There's a drainage ditch that controls all the water that is coming off the ramp and hitting that main culvert, or main culvert, and being rushed and forced north of the airport. It has washed out our perimeter fence on the very northern end next to the landfill. The staff did some temporary repairs, but they are reaching out to several companies to get estimates or actually get bids, because we're expecting the actual dirt work to be below $50,000 to do the dirt work to reshape that ditch underneath that fence and then come back and we'll put the new fence over the top and resecure it. Well, make it more long-term, resecured, sorry. Runway closure boxes, we have a staff member that's currently working on his first request for proposals. It's gonna be over $50,000. So we just found this as being an opportune time to start teaching additional staff members on the process of writing requests for proposals to meet the state laws. So we are moving forward on the procurement of those runway closure boxes. Wildlife hazardous management plan. This was actually pointed out by an ADOT study back in the late 2010s, requesting that the airport create a wildlife hazardous management plan. So we have grabbed that wildlife assessment, and we do have staff currently working on creating that plan. That just goes over items that we can do at the airport to address to reduce the amount of bird activity at the airport. Options on possibly making the airport much more, how can we say, unfriendly to birds, and and also just keep better track of the wildlife as it moves across the airfield. One thing that when my staff is currently looking at this, they're just going, we have to learn just about every single type of bird that can fly over Kingman, and we have to document it morning, midday, and evening. Like, yeah, it's a part of it.
So is that just being wrapped into the duties that the current employees would be doing, or is that going to be something that might potentially be an extra position in the future?
No, you usually have your operations and maintenance staff do these monthly checks because they're already out there. They're already doing runway inspections. They're already doing taxiway perimeter checks. They're also the ones out there mowing that could disturb the wildlife. So they'll be the ones that are just documenting what wildlife they're seeing, where they're seeing it, and approximate time and what the wildlife is doing. And this just helps us out and figuring out better ways how to move these animals off the airfield. Now, you can't move them 100% off the airfield, but at least you could do some minor stuff that can make it at least, non-good or not as likelihood that you could have a larger animal in this area.
I'd be curious to know what exactly they're attracted to on the airport and what kind of mitigation measures can be taken.
They're attracted to a lot of things. Let's put it that way. Ditches, you name it, everything. I mean, really everything on an airport is an attractant, and it's more risk management. If you have your grass cut too low, then yeah, you're not going to get very large birds that are on the airfield, but you are going to get much smaller birds in higher biomass quantity. If you let it grow up and get high enough, then you do get very small birds, more dispersed, but that's when you start getting your rabbits and your coyotes. So they're not as big as animals, but they're not as much biomass, but they're larger animals moving throughout your airfield.
Are you going to bring this to us when you guys get closer to having it complete, or when it's complete?
We can bring it to you guys when it's complete.
If one of us has a bird strike, which I've had out there, do you want to know about it? And is there a report? You are not. You just tell me.
Oh yeah,
what
we
you
want to
do.
know about it.
Okay.
Because we have to go out there and take whatever remains we have and send that off to the Smithsonian, which the lead bird biologist at the Smithsonian her name is Dr. Carla Dove.
Okay.
So we'll actually send that out and they will identify.
These weren't big. I killed a couple on takeoff. We went right through my propeller, but they were small. They were these little, I don't know what's out there, these small sparrows or something that are hanging out in the runway, but I don't know how you'd stop those from doing that.
I actually saw a documentary on that. They even collect just the feathers from the birds to help
Do they really?
identify them.
And
Okay.
if you hit one and you just see this little smudge on the side of your aircraft, they have a technical term called snarch.
Okay.
And we just take a plastic knife and we just scrape that, drop it in a bag, seal it up, type up the report, send that off to the Smithsonian, and then hopefully they're able to get DNA off that and come back with what type of bird it is.
I'll let you know if it happens again.
As for the Land release process, we're still waiting on the industrial park master development plan. That is moving forward. We're supposed to have a meeting with that on Friday to get a little bit better of an update. Unfortunately, we had to push that back to tomorrow. So far, what we have done is reached out to them regarding electricity and utility plans. And then we also had to make some changes in the roads out there. And we had to make sure that the road changes did not negatively impact the city's master traffic plan or impact what the marketing study was going. But hopefully here soon we'll have the full-blown marketing plan, so forth, and we'll be able to bring that in front of the commission, let you take a look at the final marketing plan for the industrial park development. Now the fun stuff. And I am going to avoid reading this to you guys word for word. But if you want a hardback version, you cannot have one. They're a limited amount. One's located at the airport. One's located at the Mojave Community College. One's located here in the city complex, and one's located at the ADO office. But this is the actual final Rancho Santa Fe environmental assessment signed off by the EA and the finding of no significant impact. We have to publish this for 30 days. Technically, the publication begins November 27th and is over by December 27th. It is a very fun read. I recommend it as a good Christmas gift to your family. It's over 1,000 pages. It includes other great things called fugitive dust. If you're interested in that, it's just dust that comes off the back of vehicles, to decibel levels of 18-wheelers, to if somebody has a minor oil spill on Rancho Santa Fe, who will be responsible for cleaning it up. But we do have this on the actual airport website. So if you go to the airport website, I believe it's under airport information, you'll see Rancho Santa Fe EA. Click on that, and you'll see the actual EA, which is around 80 pages, and then you'll see the supporting document, which is over 1,000 pages. And then you'll see the FAA FONSI, the finding of no significant impact, which is about 10 pages, which you could review. We do have a meeting scheduled with the FAA on December 4th to go through the final release process. But this opens us up to start working on the notice of alteration to construction with the FAA. And then Jack is working on the actual perpetual use easement, or finalizing it to go in front of the Board of Supervisors with the county and our city council.
Doug, is this project there, has it been the biggest hurdle in this whole Rancho Santa Fe process?
I will say this, FAA has really stepped up to the plate with us on this. They really have, when they realize that we're kind of struggling with it, because I'll be honest with you, a lot of these environmental rules have been changing over the past year. There is some new items that are coming out of the Committee of Environmental Quality that was put into place in April, and then we're kind of the test guinea pig on it. So they have stepped up to the plate in assisting with us for meeting their rules. They have provided extensive guide and feedback on how to reword some of the information. So Matthew, the guy with the FAA, that's their environmental specialist, he has given calls ahead of time saying, hey, we're seeing some problems right here. Here's how I think we need to address it. So I have to give them credit for that. They have really stepped up to the plate and assist us.
Good news.
But it's great. It means everything's moving forward. And hopefully here in the very near future, we can start seeing some more little information about construction, projected timelines of construction. And then if you need to put your kids to sleep at night, grandkids, here you go. I believe I read through that document about 4 times. It's not fun. For the hangars, A hangars, we currently have 6 on the waiting list. B and C hangars, we have 29 occupied. We have one that's having some major door issues that we're trying to address before we move anybody into that hangar. We just fear if we move somebody in and they can't get the door open, their plane is stuck behind a metal wall. So we're kind of holding on to that at this present time, but we have 13 on the wait list. D hangars, 8 are filled out of the 10. We have 0 on the wait list. And the cover tie downs were actually back fully occupied, and we have 2 on the wait list.
About that, I have some thoughts on hangars because we had this discussion here, and many airports have a hangar shortage. You know, it's kind of a common thing, and it's where municipalities don't want to necessarily put a bunch of money into it. I understand that. Individuals don't want to do it because they lose potential ownership of it after X number of years. Just wonder if we could have a couple of aviation people, maybe do like a subcommittee meeting with you at the airport sometime, discuss some ideas on some of these hurdles and maybe how we can get around it unless we're moving forward on it, because we do have a waiting list. I know that the other hangars that are out there have all been paid for a while, and I understand the city's reluctance to invest in that, but it's something that we really need to look into, I think, and do something with. It needs to have a conversation. I don't know if this setting is the appropriate place, because it may be long conversations and throwing ideas out. Any thoughts? Would you be amenable to having other conversations?
I can't say too much, but we are working with somebody on that.
Okay.
I can't say too much right now. As for the budget, total revenue so far this year, as of October 30th, we have $724,000 in revenue, where $673,711 is coming from the airport, $50,348 is coming from the industrial park, and with the expenses, 70%, $494,000. We have gone through the operations and maintenance budget for the airport, and then for the industrial park, we have $66,832, which we've been through 44% of the budget. With the procurement or repair of the fence line with the drainage ditch, and then also the procurement of runway closure boxes, that's definitely going to increase the amount of actual expense on the airport side. And with the industrial park side, they have moved forward with a drainage study, which did not come out too well on addressing some parts on the northern end of the airfield, just due to the amount, or outside of the airfield, just due to the sheer amount of water that goes across that area. And then for the actual fuel cells, they're kind of balanced out as last year. It doesn't really look like that, but if you take a look at the math, it's kind of leveling out a little bit. But after this month, we're expecting a major hike compared to last year's, due to the flying clinic. And then we've also received a lot of aircraft overflow from the Formula One Grand Prix, large jets around 17, but where they fit in some additional aircraft as spaces were made available. So I'm not 100% sure of how many aircraft we have received overflow from the Formula One.
Did we charge overnight fees for those more than normally we would, like everybody else did? Not that level, but...
Unfortunately, we could not. We're working on developing something to possibly bring in front of City Council. For those fees for the City of Kingman, you have to publish those fees for 60 days.
Okay.
Before it goes to City Council.
Okay.
We are kind of working off something here and there to try to get that in front of the City Council before the Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, the Super Bowl's coming up in February, so we don't have a whole lot of extra time to figure those fees out. So.
Yes, sir, we are aware of that. We are moving forward.
Good.
We have been speaking with some of the other surrounding airports to figure out what they're doing to find something comparable for our area. Unfortunately, it's my mistake. I did not have the total revenue of the funds remaining outside of the operations and capital budget. Apologize for that. I forgot to speak to finance within the timely time frame. We'll definitely have that at the next meeting.
I think I have one more. Are you done?
Okay.
Are you done? Or do we go?
Oh, you go ahead.
Oh, okay, just, I think I have one more question for you before you step down on, I think you mentioned there's also money in the budget for gates 263 and 270, the entrances, I think. Is that gonna be, are they gonna be reworked this fiscal year still? Is that still in the happenings?
Yes, that is.
Okay.
That is, we're kind of working on multiple large projects at this time.
Oh, I know.
So the two smaller ones, these two that are just trying to help my staff get into that phase of
Yeah.
learning how to manage those or develop those RFPs. But that's probably going to end up being a job order contract. And right now, one of those gates is kind of used for the Dross project too.
It is.
So we're kind of waiting for the Dross project to get to a phase to where we
Yeah,
can.
that, I get there's no reason to fix it all up and have it be messed up again or something, so.
Just curious, it appears to me that the amount of aircraft that are being stored out here now has gotten bigger and bigger. Am I right? Because, I mean, where they just moved them around closer to the flight line.
It's pretty much leveled out at this present time. We're still in the mid 300s for the amount of stored aircraft. A lot of these aircraft are being transferred to companies that are out east. Countries, not companies, countries out east, and even into Africa, but we are receiving more. We've received a few Canadian aircraft. We received a few additional JSXs, but at the same time, there's some of these Americans that they're testing today that are probably going to go back into service. So some are coming in and some are going out, and it's been relatively stable at this time.
Then I've noticed those large helicopters that were dumping water. And they have their own fuel truck.
That is interesting. No, they were not allowed to use that fuel truck.
Okay.
We've been keeping an eye on that because we want our fuel flowage fees from that too. So we made it very well and clear about 4 times, don't use the fuel truck. Unfortunately, they said, look, can we at least leave it here for the time being? We said, sure, that's fine, as long as you don't use the fuel truck. But what that was is Rotex. They had a brand new type of aerial firefighting apparatus where it is a hose that dangles from the bottom of the helicopter, and from there they suck up the water and it goes into a bag underneath the helicopter that they drop over the fire. Well, it was certified here. I don't know if the FAA has fully blessed it off. And then also BLM was in attendance to see how it reacted and see if they could use it future in their fleets or under contracts. But they have they had that testing, and blessed both their helicopters are here to be painted by one of our tenants on the airfield.
Speaking of fuel, for the first time in probably 3, maybe 4 years, the Aviation 100 low lead is now below $6 a gallon, which I'm not sure if everybody here appreciates it, but I sure do.
I wish I could, claim that, but I cannot.
No, I know you can't.
If I could take all that credit, I would. Any other questions? Okay.
If there's no other questions, let's move on to the Industrial Park staff report.
Good afternoon, commissioners.
You might want to pull that down so.
Yeah, because I'm short.
Yeah.
Good afternoon, commissioners. Glad to see you. There's been a few things happening out at the industrial park, so I'm pretty excited to be here and share those with you. We met with the new management of Patriot Rail, and what that is resulting in is a better working relationship with them. They are now communicating with us for anybody who is seeking to come to the Kingman Industrial Park if they contact them first for rail. So we're meeting together to work together to bring people to the industrial park, which is kind of an exciting opportunity that we haven't always had in front of us. So we have a couple project updates within the industrial park, and Steel is still in the process of putting together their expansion of their equipment. They have one more piece that was in transit and had a little bit of a problem, and so they had to go back to Austria and ask for the piece to be rebuilt, and that should be shipped and received somewhere mid-December. And then they will put that last piece in. Unfortunately, I don't think that that's just one last piece that they can just put into the puzzle, that they have to wait for that, put that in part into the place, and then several pieces after that. But they're looking to have that up and running in January. Lomanco has put some plans out there for approval with the Mojave County. They have been approved, and they are going to be starting to expand their facility as well. I believe that it's about another 10,000 square feet. I could be wrong. 80,000 square feet. Thank you, Tom. Very good, very good. So they're in the process of getting that done, and they should be working on that shortly. We have been working on our Choose Kingman website and putting a couple different things up on the website. One of those things is additional testimonials. Last time I reported that we had 7 new testimonials to put on there. We have an additional 3 so that we're keeping the content as fresh as possible and new. One of those new testimonials is from KRMC, so that was very nice to get that testimonial, and it's already posted on the website. We've also went to the Arizona Association of Economic Development Fall Forum, and at the Fall Forum, USDA was there doing a presentation. They have a rural business development whole section for rural development, and with that, they have a lot of resources that we were unaware of mainly me. I'm the newbie on the block, remember? So we took all of those resources and put those onto the website as well. They're federal resources for grants and financing for rural development for businesses.
I have a question.
Sure.
So with the trade corridor being announced and the city growing, what does and does not constitute a rural area?
So I am not sure exactly what that is, but it has been my experience in the past that it's communities that are over 50,000 in population in a designated area. So
So is that like
within the city limits.
Is that just the city limits, or is that the CDP and the city limits?
It's from the city limits from what I understand. But again, I could be wrong, and I will check on that and just make sure that I have that correct and get back to you, if
Thank
that's
you.
all right.
Yeah, thank
Okay.
you.
Anything else? Okay, so we have had 2 different prospects that have come into town. One of them has officially applied to purchase a piece of property that is still left on the industrial park. We are in the process of going through their paperwork, and it is a organic fertilizer manufacturing company. All the chemicals, everything that's there is all organic. There's nothing that would cause like a flammable reaction or anything like that. So it's kind of exciting, the project, what they have and what they can bring to the industrial park. Sorry about that. The other one is what we call Project Foam, and on that is a company that was looking to lease space. As far as I know, I have not heard back whether they did secure that lease or not at this point, but what they already do is they manufacture furniture and mattresses. They wanted to start taking a little bit more control of their costs by manufacturing their own foam to go into those products. So that's what they were trying to secure the space for. In addition to that, we have completed 7 project information forms and submitted those to the Arizona Commerce Authority to see if we could house people who are looking to put their businesses here in Arizona. We have not heard back on any of those. I have had one call back for more information on one of the projects.
I do have another question, sorry.
No, you're good.
I don't know anything about like this, the announcements you're making right now are new to me.
Okay.
But I don't know what, like, if we're looking at manufacturing jobs that are gonna be at or near the minimum wage, or if they're gonna be like mid-level, or if we're getting like higher level businesses trying to come in here, like, what are we looking at?
I do have the information for each one of those other 7 projects. If you guys want me to run down those, I can do that, or I can provide those to you separately. What would you guys like?
I'm curious as like
Sure.
what they're bringing in.
Okay, so Project Coho is a site for PV solar module manufacturing facility. If successful, the project will infuse a capital investment of $67.2 million, 685 jobs with an average salary of $60,125. Project Mira is a site for electric vehicle manufacturing and assembly. If successful, the project will infuse a capital investment of $28 million, 600 jobs with an average salary of $65,000. For Project Heavy 2, it is a hydrogen technology test center and pilot manufacturing facility. And just to give a disclaimer here, it was very low water consumption, so that's why we went ahead and submitted the proposal. If it is successful, the project will infuse a capital investment of $32 million with 38 jobs and an average salary of $67,256. Project SALT is a chlor-alkali chemical manufacturing facility. If successful, the project will infuse a capital investment of $602 million with 30 jobs and an average salary of $54,167. Project Scorpion was an EV manufacturing facility for lithium-ion batteries. If successful, the project will infuse a capital investment of $66 million, 70 jobs, and an average salary of $61,071. Project Iron K is a steel manufacturing facility that should infuse a capital investment of $232 million, 785 jobs, and an average salary of $48,000. Project Detergent is a detergent manufacturing facility, and it is looking at a capital investment of $10 million, 40 jobs with an average of $50,000.
Okay, so I hear a lot of averages. I'm curious what the median is, because an average could be skewed by a really high compensation versus a lot of really low compensation portions. So I'm curious if the average is close to the median.
I am not aware of how that is calculated. These are numbers that we are given by the Arizona Commerce Authority.
Is it something you can blame us on? Could you ask them and say the commission members would like to know? If you speak with them again, can you say, and this is a good point, because average could be one person makes $8 million and everybody else makes 15.
I can actually reach out to them and ask that very question.
Yeah.
Vice Chair, if I'm not mistaken, when I've seen these information as it comes across, it's very simple. It just states, hey, here's your average. It doesn't tell you that here's how many people are going to get paid from let's say 30,000 up to this many people being paid 40,000, this many people being paid to 60, and then your actual plant manager being paid 100,000. They don't put that information. And these companies prefer being very discreet and quiet about it. So trying to get this information, do not be shocked if it's going to be flat out rejected.
Well, My curiosity stems from the census data, which usually lists the median income for a city. And I'm just curious if the companies that are coming in are staying in line lower or higher than what the median is for what we are, because I would assume that we're trying to increase that to bring up people's standards of living and whatnot.
That has been the goal of the Economic Development Department, yes.
I'm a labor contractor, and for Kingman, those kind of averages, the 60,000 range, $20, $19, $20 an hour is very high at the air park, which is good. But hearing the potential numbers of these, if you just hit on two of the larger employers, the demand on the labor isn't, well, it's not available here. But they will come here for that because the cost of living is affordable. So it's a big change. 10 years ago, when I opened my company out at the airport, I mean, it was low wages, high numbers of people, and I refused to supply labor at minimum wage. And I said, I'll pay no less than $1 an hour, over minimum wage. And now it's, I think, $14.80, $14.25, $35. I don't know. We don't pay minimum wage still. We just don't. But it's a pretty good, compared to where it was before Prop 2.0 whatever, Arizona's paying pretty good wages.
They
Which
are.
it didn't always be that way. It was, you go to Texas, growing by leaps and bounds, it's $7.25 still.
By all means, it does appear that it is getting much better.
It's better, no question.
And then right now, housing is a serious issue for lower income initial.
That's a big issue.
It's a big
Yeah.
problem.
That was my
They
other
need high
curiosity.
density,
Because you're
apartments.
talking about with the combined total of thousands of people coming in, like where are they gonna go? So.
Right.
So, and I am aware that Mojave County has been working on some housing studies and things like that. So we're hoping that out of those, something will come from it. And according to an article that I just read, whether it was the Economic Development newsletter or not, they were stating that there's several different housing projects in the works, whether those are apartments or neighborhoods, I'm not sure. Any other questions?
Yeah, can you tell me what's going in at the corner of, I think it's Olympic and, yeah.
Yes. I don't know if I'm allowed to actually.
They're already grading.
Okay, so it is, Import Corner is
Oh,
getting
they're
ready to
moving.
expand.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, good.
yes,
Yeah.
yes. So it's a really great thing, and we're really happy for them.
Thank you.
All right, are you guys good with what I have so far?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so we have been in the process of developing what we want to call a rail economic impact report. This is to show what value the rail is bringing to the industrial park and what we're going to get out of it with future expansions. It should be done within the next 30 days. So I should be able to share that with you next time we have that coming through. We worked on a video for marketing for the industrial park and airport, and I would like to take a moment of your time to share that video with you. Oh, it's giving me a problem here. Sorry. It is in here, so let me pull it up from there. Oh. It's not picking up from where we had it loaded. I apologize.
Well, do you guys want me to read you chapters out of the EA?
If we have a poetry reading, we can just bring that and turn it into a prose poem and really put everybody to sleep.
Welcome to the Kingman Airport and Industrial Park, a thriving hub of economic activity nestled in the heart of Arizona. This dynamic business park is home to a diverse range of enterprises, each contributing to the growth and prosperity of this community.
My name is Doc Weiniger. I work for Allo Fiber. Allo Fiber is a full-service fiber internet voice video provider. My name is Steve Mullen. I'm the general manager at Insteel here in Kingman, Arizona. Insteel is a provider of steel reinforcement products for concrete. My name is Sean Mindrup. I'm the regional vice president of the Western Railroads that Patriot Rail owns and operates. Hello, I'm Scott Brackett. Our companies are all aviation related. We manufacture aircraft air filters, and we also manufacture tow bars to tow your helicopter or airplane around.
My name's Jamie Kerr. I'm the Vice President of Rural Economic Development for the Arizona Commerce Authority.
Located right off Interstate 40, Kingman Airport and Industrial Park offers unparalleled connectivity and transportation access.
What Patriot finds to be valuable about the industrial park is it is located really between Las Vegas, Phoenix, and Tucson, and it's got great highway access between Interstate 40 and Highway 93. And by locating in Kingman, it gives them a diverse opportunity to supply different markets from one location. I-40 is our major east-west location. Getting into California, you have your Interstate 5. The expansion that's going to go on with 93, turning that into Interstate 11. As that project gets underway, that'll be a great north-south transport. The airport does give us quick access. One of the advantages is if you have a next day delivery, we can go over past 4 o'clock and get it on the airplane to get out of here. So that's a real advantage when you're looking at just in time.
The Kingman Airport and Industrial Park is more than just a location. It's a community that fosters growth, innovation, and collaboration. Behind this success story stands a dedicated economic development team working tirelessly to support businesses.
The industrial park was in the first area that we were building because of the importance of getting the fiber to the businesses that were located here.
The economic development team and I have been working together for about 5 years now on project locates and expansions here in the airport. We tried to make sure our job at the Arizona Commerce Authority is to create quality net new jobs for the people of the state of Arizona. Bring your company here, lower taxes, better opportunities, fantastic employment, and just great transportation.
Join us in Kingman, Arizona, and be part of a thriving business community. Discover the possibilities at the Kingman Airport and Industrial Park.
That's going on national TV, wouldn't it?
So
That was Tina Moline's voice, wasn't
I only
it?
have one comment on that, and that's when they say the heart of Arizona, and I'm like, but we're on the edge, and then I think about it, and I'm like, no, we actually have cities on the edge. We're kind of more towards the middle, but we're still close enough, so that was all I thought. That was good.
thank you. We worked really hard at getting that taken care of and wanted to make it sure that it represented. It is on our website, on the Choose Kingman website, under the Industrial Park and Airport section.
Good.
Thank you. We've also created the verbiage for an airport marketing brochure and submitted the design to our developer. He is in the process. He has created everything. We're waiting on our drone photos to have those inserted into the marketing program, the piece, and then that should be good to go. Okay, so last time that I was here, I talked about the economic strengths program grant where we were gonna paved Transport Road and Government Way. Unfortunately, there was an overwhelming response to the number of people who applied for the grant. We did not receive the funds this time, but we will be applying the next time that they have funds available. So the biggest and latest and greatest news is our I-40 Tradeport Corridor, which we received the designation on October 13th. This is very exciting news for us. The plans are to put transportation hubs, green energy fueling hubs in 3 locations between the Port of Los Angeles to Albuquerque. They are strategically located in distance to be able to do EV fueling and future hydrogen fueling to keep the responses going for the green. And also the nice thing about our location is that we have rail coming in here. So the rail can bring up the loads that we can take off of the rail and put them directly on to trucks. The strategic hubs are going to be located in Kingman, Winslow, Arizona, and Albuquerque, New Mexico right now. The future developments are to send it all the way through to Amarillo, Texas. So we're pretty excited about that. We're now in the planning stages, so there's a lot of discussions going on. Bernalillo County out of New Mexico is the lead agency on this. They're the ones who have created the MOU with ADOT and all the partners, and they're the ones that are facilitating getting the funds drawn down and facilitating the meetings and everything like that. So it's just good news. It should bring some great manufacturing industry to the industrial park. Yes, sir.
I think that's part of what I was going to ask is if we're doing this green energy thing, where is the production and storage of such green energy going to take place at?
They don't anticipate doing that here because we don't have the water resources to be able to do the hydrogen portion of it.
So it would have to be shipped here and then
Correct.
But are they planning on storing it here or any significant quantities?
As far as I know, no. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was curious, how many places are there in the area where you can charge a electric vehicle? I'm aware of 5. Are there more?
Yes, there are, but I do not know the exact number. I was looking at a map 3 weeks ago with various locations, and there was more than 5.
So with the Tradeport corridor, does this mean that whatever gets put in context to that is going to be kind of a standardized thing, or is it going to be up to each individual manufacturer to put in whatever they want?
Can you rephrase that question
So
for me?
like, for example, if you try to plug a Tesla into something else, you can't do it because the plugs are different. Is it going to be the...
I don't know the specifics on how that works.
Terry, may I just say something on that? With the actual corridor, it's the first phase is actually going to be the planning phase. And what that planning phase is determining, and this is mostly focusing on large trucks, 18-wheelers, large box trucks. So, and the companies that that we're reaching out to, or the entire group's reaching out to, are the ones who are developing these trucks, so we can determine what type of charging station will best suit to capture as many vehicles as possible. But this is just a planning phase to sit back and say, hey, in Kingman, is it good to have 100 Tesla chargers when you have majority of the vehicles not Tesla coming in here? That's the goal in that, to figure out what we could put here, what suits the needs of the corridor, and how this community could benefit from being with this group.
Yeah, I mean, because it makes sense. Like, you have a gasoline-powered vehicle, all the nozzles are all the same, so you can stick it into any car. You're not having to worry about where exactly you're going to be able to do it. So I was just wondering if that was part of it, but that's good to know. Thank you.
And I do know that the two main, Volvo and what was the other one, are
I'm going to be honest with you. I think I fell asleep in that part.
they have been working with those guys to make sure that, and when I say they, I'm talking about our consultants are working with, and they have a EV engineer on staff as well. So they're working with those companies to make sure that we can do what we hope to do here.
And this may have been discussed, I don't exactly remember, but who pays for like the design, the study, the implementation? Where does all the money come from?
So right now, on the planning stages of this is coming through, that's what the designation included, was a grant for $974,000. And part of that will be used to do the planning stages. They hope to get more money out of this through P3 grants, and there is financing through the Bureau, oh, good grief, now I can't remember. It's part of the Build America Bureau, and the financing that they have available, that's part of where this Regional Infrastructure Accelerator Program came from, is to help utilize some of that financing.
Has this been done in other parts of the country, or are we like
Yes.
a test?
No, we're not a test. There is already a corridor through California and Highway 10 through
Phoenix?
Through Phoenix, yes. And it's the same partnerships as the one that we're working with.
And what has that done for them so far?
You know what? I asked that very question, but I don't think we got kind of sidetracked in the meeting and there wasn't enough time to talk about all of that. I do know that out of that has come a significant grant to, I want to say it was Merced, the city of Merced, to develop and expand their rail.
Well, the reason I ask is because we keep talking about grants like they come out of thin air, but we all pay taxes for them. So in essence, we're all kind of paying for it. So I'm just kind of wondering, like, where exactly our money, like how well it's coming back to us, because it's nice if it's bringing,
We're
even
gonna
a
go
1% return is something, you know what I mean?
Yes, we're going to go after every dollar we can. That's all I can, that's what I am very aware of.
Terry, may I just say something? With these actual grant accelerated corridors, what's happened in the past when it comes to companies and these developments, each city was kind of moving on their own independently. So you really didn't have that synergy across the board. Now the government came in, I believe it was the I-10 project, and they saw multiple communities, multiple businesses, private partnerships all working together to create one large infrastructure. And the government kind of liked that, and including those communities, because it's just not ad hoc. It's not like a spotted kaleidoscope. Everybody's kind of working together to drive one plan. So that's where a lot of this, that was the ultimate goal of the government. And she is correct, this did come out of the Build American Bureau. Mm-hmm. And the lead agency, as my understanding with this, is going to be Department of Transportation.
Yes, it's coming out of the United States Department of Transportation.
Just want to caution you to plug an EV in. It takes electricity to run that transformer. I worked in electric utility for 38 years. I can tell you that we did a calculation in 2012 in LA. If we increased the EVs in LA by 10%, and they all plugged in at the same time, it pulled the grid off the line. So we need to consider the power.
So just to be they don't see the EV is going to be the long-term solution. They're looking more to the hydrogen clean fuel.
I mentioned that. You got more stations coming around. The local utilities have got to come up with the power to supply those.
When you're considering trucking, time is money, and it takes time to charge up those units. So I don't see, even our group realizes that, so that's why they're bringing both kinds of fueling into the system and to the hubs.
It's just, you're putting up more EV stations in the town. It's a larger load on the grid because it takes power to run those transformers.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're trying to fast charge an 18-wheeler, that's gonna take a lot of power. It's just something we gotta consider when we're gonna do this type of expansion. Can the grid that we don't rely on can supply that?
Thank you for your comments. I will pass those along to our
It's just
consultants.
something to consider.
I think that kind of, I don't want to say that was my idea, but I think that was kind of where I wanted to see like
Okay.
what the impact was to the communities that have had a successful program or what made it successful.
I can bring back also, Brandon, Commissioner, sorry. I will get in touch with the consultants and see what cities they already have established their hubs in and how that is working, getting a little bit more information for you guys on that.
And Terry, may I just say one more thing? What they're actually looking at Kingman right now is that we are the first city that major trucking companies come to when they leave California. California is trying to get rid of all the electric trucks. So one of their first goals is, yeah, they do recognize that the entire infrastructure in the United States has to increase to accommodate all this future green energy. But from the original kickoff, they're kind of looking at Kingman being that stop for those trucks and then possibly switching over to your typical diesel trucks. But the just the sheer thought of the increased electricity and all these other items, they have mentioned that we are going to have to figure out a way how to address this and see how much they could get in here into Kingman to accommodate that massive increase of power.
Now we just need to get I-40 fixed.
So, being that we're the first location out of California, they're thinking that it will actually be more accommodating for the trucks to come out of California, drop off their loads to diesel running trucks for right now, and fuel up on electricity so they can get back to get another load. So they are going to have a charging station in Barstow as well, so it won't just rely heavily on us. Anything else? Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, moving forward to announcements by the commission members. Let's start with Commissioner Gerlach. Do you have anything to add?
No, no announcements at this time.
Thank you. Commissioner Lameister? Lawmeister?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Larimore?
I got nothing.
Commissioner Beller?
Nothing at this time.
Commissioner Gaines?
Nothing?
I am going to tell you a little bit about what happened to me earlier today. I was at home and I got a phone call from a gentleman, Don Millhouse. And Mr. Millhouse lived in Kingman back in 2012. And I took his son for an airplane ride through the Young Eagles program that our EAA chapter puts on. He called me long distance to tell me that his son has taken his first solo ride, check ride, and he's enrolled in the commercial pilots program at the university he's attending. And that just made my day.
Very nice.
So anybody that thinks it's not a good idea to be doing these Young Eagle rallies, I think they're mistaken.
I don't know who thinks it's not a good idea.
Yeah, I'm sorry?
I don't know who thinks it's not a good idea.
Well, I don't know anybody either, but we have more trouble getting dates and pilots and planes.
And there's still a tremendous pilot shortage, and they're anticipating this being the next several decades to be in super high demand. My business specializes in repairing aircraft, and most of my business is from flight schools. And it's not that they're crashing their airplanes. People think, oh my God, no, you're getting, fuel trucks may back into them, or they may hit a hangar or something like that. But I bring a lot of money in from Utah and Phoenix area and California from the vast majority of mine is from flight schools out of this area, not from this area. So, but they're gonna be busy. They're asking us if we can keep up with this as they go along. I just got as a side note, speaking of bringing business in, there was a brand new flight school I was not even aware of in Central Texas that brought in 2 aircraft wings, and they have 35 composite, that's just right, 35, I think 35 Diamond aircraft in their flight school, and they're buying 10 more on order right now. And they're going to be wanting to use us from Texas, all bring their stuff out here to have us work on, so.
That's a big flight school.
And they don't see anything slowing down anytime soon.
Great.
So, which is good for us, but.
Okay, we've exhausted our agenda. I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we adjourn this meeting. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? It's carried and we're adjourned. Thank you.